Hello. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you've already learned a little bit about congruence in general triangles, and you want to go a little bit further and learn something about congruence specifically in right triangles. So in right triangles, there are 4 different ways you can tell whether or not the triangles are congruent, and we'll go through them briefly in this video. So the first one is called leg congruence. All right, so leg congruence just means, so if we have a triangle here and we have another triangle here and they're both right triangles, if you know that one leg of one triangle is congruent to a leg on the other triangle, and same for a second leg, then the 2 triangles are congruent. FYI, just remember that this here is called a hypotenuse and the other 2 sides are called legs. So when I say leg congruence, I mean the 2 sides that are not hypotenuses, if that's a word. Okay, so we have leg congruence, and for short we just call that LL, congruence for leg. Our second type of congruence is called hypotenuse angle congruence. Hypotenuse angle congruence. And it's exactly what it sounds like. So again, if we have a right triangle here and we have another right triangle here, and they're right triangles, if we have the hypotenuse being congruent to the other hypotenuse and an angle other than the right triangle, so an angle congruent to an angle over here, that is enough to tell us that these 2 triangles are congruent to each other. So we call that the HA or HA congruence, so for hypotenuse angle congruence. All right, there are 2 more, so let's look at those 2 as well. Our third type of congruence is called the leg angle congruence. So again, it's exactly what it sounds like, the leg angle congruence. So for example, and I'll just turn my triangle another strange way here, we have 2 triangles here, they're both right triangles. If I know that one leg is congruent to another leg, and any other angle other than the right angle is congruent to the corresponding angle, that is enough to tell us that our triangles here are congruent. And this is called the LA. I like to call it the La congruence. So LA for leg angle congruence. And there's one more. Our fourth type of congruence for right angle triangles is called the hypotenuse leg congruence. So I'll repeat that. It's called the hypotenuse leg congruence. All right, so again, exactly what it sounds like. No surprises here. If we have 2 right angle triangles and we know that the hypotenuse of one is congruent to the hypotenuse of the other, and any of the legs, doesn't matter which one, so let's say one of the legs is congruent to a corresponding leg, then that is enough information to tell us that our triangles are congruent. So now that we know all 4 ways to check, we can look at a bunch of examples and quickly tell whether or not our triangles or pairs of triangles are congruent. Okay, so in example A, we have 2 right angle triangles, and we have a leg and an angle. We have a leg and an angle. They are congruent. The corresponding legs and corresponding angles are congruent, which means that we have congruence here because of leg angle. All right, next one, part B. We have congruent angles, but we have no congruent sides. So this actually could be the same shape, which we'll look at later. It's called similar triangles. But one triangle could be slightly bigger or slightly smaller than the other triangle. We don't know if this is congruent, so we would say no way, no how, it's not congruent. All right, and for the last example here, we have a side that's in common, so the reflex property is holding here. So we have 2 congruent sides. Let's mark that here. And we have two congruent sides here as well. So we have a hypotenuse and a leg. So we are in luck here. And we have HL congruent. So these two are congruent and this one is not.